Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Leader in You podcast. My name is Paulina, and I'm here with amazing Dr. Lola Gershfeld.
Hi, everyone. So nice to be here. Thank you for listening.
Welcome to day 4 of the HED conference and our mini series and recap of what's been going on. We just came back from doing such an amazing session. We were speaking at a session about the 5 quick wins on how to resolve team conflict.
Yes.
And we're going to share with you those 5 quick wins so you can have this information in your back pocket and you can use it when you get disconnected with your team.
Exactly. It was really fun to share this knowledge with everyone because everybody experiences conflict at work. And conflict could be visible, where you see people arguing together, or conflict could be hidden, where people disengage. For example, disengagement is a form of conflict. So we want you to be empowered and to know that you don't have to be stuck in these negative patterns that continue to create and cause exhaustion for you and drain your energy. You can actually change the way you deal with conflicts, because conflict is really not a problem if you have a roadmap. If you don't have a map, then you are in trouble.
And we are actually mastering the art of relationships. And that's how you can take advantage of this process and use it to master the art of relationships. Now, before we begin, I do want to share it. We had such an amazing session. And at the beginning of the session, we actually did a little skit and we demonstrated how conflicts happen and how it really can get worse and overheated and trigger people's emotions. You can watch that skit on our YouTube channel. We haven't uploaded it yet, but it will be uploaded very soon. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. And you can also find all this information on our website, emcleaders.com. Follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn, and make sure to stay in touch so you can learn the process on how to master the art of relationship. All right, let's start with the first win.
Okay, the first win is to recognize the signs of disconnection. Disconnections happen all the time, especially when you don't have a secure relationship with your boss or with your manager, with your colleagues. And disconnections could be somebody looked at you, a facial expression, or a word they said that really triggered you, and that happened, a disconnection. Disconnections are drivers of rejection. It gives you a perceived message that somehow you're not valued, you're not important, your viewpoint is not important. So we become disconnected in that moment. Recognizing the signs of disconnections are very important. So what are the signs? The signs could be you hear people blaming or complaining, whining, lecturing. That's a one sign. Another sign is avoiding, withdrawing, disengaging. That's a different sign.
I like the signs where, are you excited to get up for work, or are you excited
That's a good one.
to get up for work? What do you do when you roll out of bed first thing Monday morning? If you're not excited, that's a really good sign you're disconnected from your team.
Exactly. And actually, when people are disconnected, they take one of two positions. They either pursue the connection or they withdraw by preserving the connection. So both people want to be connected because they work together. And recognizing what you do in the moment of disconnection, that's a very good way to understand that there's a disconnection happening for us.
Yes, and actually you can switch roles when you are in a cycle. So sometimes we take on the role of a pursuer, and sometimes we take on the role of a withdrawer, depending on our position in the company. And when you do recognize the signs of disconnections, you can actually help to restore emotional balance so much quicker. So then there isn't a lot of time where that person feels disconnected in the relationship.
And we want to go from when people are disconnected to connected to minimize that time. That's why these 5 quick wins will help you to be empowered and equipped what to do and how to identify when there's a negative cycle happening.
So the step number 2 is calling out the negative cycle. It's very common in a conflict at work to blame, shame, criticize, and judge the other person involved in the conflict or the entire team. So what we do is, instead of blaming and shaming each other, we turn our attention to calling out the negative cycle. And that makes it actually very easy to connect with people and to be open to understanding how the negative cycle is affecting the relationship. So there's different ways that you have a negative cycle. You could have a pursuer in a negative cycle. You could have pursuer withdrawer, or you can have a withdrawer. So withdrawers typically, just like Dr. Lola said, they avoid conflicts. And then pursuers typically want to engage in and go after the conflict.
I would say that they avoid the chance of getting more disconnected.
Yes.
So that's why they avoid conflict, because they're afraid that there will be more disconnection happening.
And I think, but a lot of people say, like, I don't like confrontation.
Right?
I
Because
don't
they don't
wanna
want to be
be-
disconnected.
Right.
more.
But they don't realize the reason why they say I don't like confrontation is because they have that withdrawal fear, that role
Exactly.
where they don't want to be
Exactly.
disconnected.
And it's very important, I think, to recognize that both people want connection because they depend on each other, because they work together. And the way they go about getting that connection are ineffective. And so we recognize those steps, and every person in negative cycle actually plays a role. I remember working with one particular team, and there were 5 people on the team, and 2 of the people would always get into the argument during a meeting. The other 3 people would just pull out their laptops and start working on the laptops, ignoring the conflict, right? They're like, oh, we'll just let them people. What they didn't realize is by withdrawing and getting their laptops, they're actually increasing the anxiety of these 2 people who are arguing. So every single person who is in a conflict participates and adds the fuel to the conflict.
Yeah, which makes sense. So how do you call out the negative cycle? Some of the things that you can say are, looks like we are getting caught in a negative cycle, or I notice we're starting to look to see who is at fault here, who's to blame. Those are all calling, there's like, you're bringing light to what is happening before you get into the actual conflict, which slows down the entire situation. And also you get like a completely different viewpoint of the situation. And then the last one is, I feel like I'm shutting down while you're becoming more frustrated. So just noticing and recognizing what's happening with you in the moment that the negative cycle occurs.
I like that one, because often when we're in a cycle, it's really hard for us to call out the cycle. But as we become more and more aware of that cycle, we see the cycle happening, and we can actually name the cycle, we become less and less overwhelmed. I like the one that you said, look, I want to come, I think I want to reach out to you, and I'm getting scared that we're getting disconnected, but you shutting down because I'm coming across as critical. But you're shutting down because I'm giving you the message, I'm criticizing you. But what I really want is I want connection.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, it's so amazing to be able to call out the negative cycle. And when you do call out the negative cycle, it actually restores that balance also, where it allows the person in the conflict to stay engaged in the conflict instead of trying to put up all those walls and defend and walk away.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Because emotions are fast. Emotions are fast. And the third step is to restore emotional safety, is to recognize that emotions are fast. And we need to learn how to slow things down so we can articulate emotions, we can recognize the sensitivities that we have, we can articulate and organize our emotions. And I remember research by Lisa Feldman Barrett, who said that when you name emotions as granular as possible, as specific as possible, you become less overwhelmed. So we want that less overwhelming feeling, because when we are less overwhelmed, we are open. We can empathize with the other person.
be flexible.
We can be flexible.
Yeah.
We can understand what the other person is telling us. And we can also, I think, be more competent in clarifying what we're trying to say to us. It's very hard for us to communicate when we are overwhelmed.
Yes.
So by creating that emotional safety, by slowing it down, we become much more clarifying. I think the second part in emotional safety is being emotionally responsive.
Mhm.
So when people come to us and share their frustration with in a relationship or the frustration with somebody else, what we want to do is we want to tune to that person. We want to see how difficult it is for them to lose that connection with
Yeah.
them. And when they do that, when they feel heard and validated, and really the other person is there with them, they feel not alone in that experience. And the whole thing, the nervous system relaxes. It really becomes like, oh, I'm not crazy, right? Oh, I'm not the bad guy. Oh,
It's relieving.
it's relieving. Now I can go and solve my problem.
So the way that we create and restore emotional safety is by using validating phrases. So some of the things that you can say is, I hear you, your feelings are valid, it must be very difficult for you. And you can actually find all these in our raw spots, emotions, and our process, which is all listed in the materials, training materials, and our entire training system.
Yeah, so I really like, I love that you said that in our session.
Yeah.
You pointed those statements. If the statements are very important. I think also the important is how you say those statements, right?
Yes.
We teach, we have to slow down because we are talking to the amygdala at that moment. So we want to do like a lullaby. We're singing a lullaby to that amygdala. So we want to go soft, we want to go slow, and we want to maybe soften our voice, our approach. I hear you. That makes sense. And what we also need to do, and this is something that I learned later, we need to repeat ourselves. We need to repeat over and over again because
Yes.
in the moments when people are really stressed and overwhelmed, they can't hear you. They can't even hear, I hear you. It like bypasses them. So we want to repeat, I hear you. I hear how difficult that is for you. Your feelings are valid. I hear you. I hear how difficult that is for you. Your feelings are valid. So by repeating these things, you are slowing things down and you helping people to regain their balance.
So step number 4 is called Practice ARE, which is an acronym that stands for accessible, responsive, and engaged. So are you accessible? Are you responsive? And are you engaged? Are you there for me? And this is important because in the heart of every conflict, we want to know that the answer to these questions is yes, a resounding yes. And at any moment that the answer to these questions is no, even if the slightest bit gives us the signal that it's no, then that's when we get triggered and we can get very easily disconnected.
Exactly. I love it. Paulina, I love that you're saying that. This is really key. When the answer is a no or maybe, are you there for me? No or maybe, then you will get triggered. If the answer is resounding yes, and going through the emotional connection process, everything what we're doing in the process is getting to that resounding yes.
Yes.
Yes, I love that. That's a great point.
We forgot to put it in the session.
Yeah, we did. We forgot to say that, but it's a very important point. Very important point.
And last but not least is number 5, which is focus on the connection, not just resolving or trying to fix a problem. We want to focus on connecting. So how do we create that connection in that bonding moment?
Bonding moments are the key. In order for people to change behavior, they have to have a new emotional experience. And what we're doing in the bonding moment is actually we're clarifying the message, we're correcting the message. Because when you get triggered, you get that perceived message that somehow you're not important, somehow the other people don't want you or don't value you. So as you go through the process, what you're really getting is, I want to know that I am valued, right? I am important to you. And people says, of course you're important to me. Of course you're valued. So when you do that, when you get that confirmation, when you get that reassurance and acknowledgement, you create a bonding moment. And bonding moment to me is like lighting up the New York skyline, right? It is so powerful because the brain holds on to it. and it stays with you. And when you create that bonding moment, immediately that motivation comes back. You start to feel connected. You start to feel happy. You start to feel hopeful again. And the most important thing, you feel not alone. You feel understood. You feel heard. And then what can you do when you feel those emotions? Well, people say, I can do anything. I'm much more engaged in the work. I'm much more supportive. I'm much more responsive to people. And that's what we want.
I love it. Those are your 5 quick wins. And the good news too is if you would like to learn more about your perceived emotional safety, you can take our TESSA.
Yes, team emotional safety assessment.
And with the TESSA, you can find out what are your capabilities, along with if your team is emotionally safe and connected or if they're not.
Yes, and we assess the perception between colleagues and the manager and yourself. So that's a very important. And as if your whole team takes the assessment, then what we do is we give you a team report where it shows the gaps, shows the distribution, and shows where you can improve in creating that emotional safety.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this now, we have a phone number that you can text and we can send you the link to the assessment and you can take it for free. So since you're watching during our ATD conference, you can text the number below. It is 714-410-6642. Text the word code and we will send you the link to our assessment.
Again, that number is 714-410-6642. Text the word code, CODE, and we will send you the link to the assessment.
Thank you so much for watching. We've absolutely loved day 4 and we thoroughly enjoyed the ATD conference. We're so grateful that you're here and listening to us. We are changing the world with this process and we're excited that you're just as excited as we are. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.